Wow.
Sanchez drawings and photos.
Oh, and you get to pick glasses.
We should do that once it's on screen, though.
Yes. Well, which one of your wives? That's the one. That's what I'm going to pick for you. I might have to wear a pair.
There's plenty.
I'm good at these. Actually, 2025, my left eye without glasses after cataract surgery.
Oh, that's a sexy bug.
Yeah, I was just going to show that. Kind of a little different twist on stuff here. Whatever. So. Didn't I? Oh, I did. Yeah, there it is.
It's ready.
I think so.
Sure, why not?
Ready to walk with me. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode and our last episode of Taiwan on Tuesday. Tonight we've got Scott, Howard, and Dave here from Wyoming Whiskey. He's made us some delicious cocktails. What are we tying up, Howard?
Well, this is going to be a little bit different deal. It's a spent caddis. But we're going to do some different moves and stuff like that. Some of the kids here had some YouTube video stuff on, and which I rarely watch, but caught my fancy this one deal, and so I've been doing this thing for last year I started, whatever, and it's been pretty successful fly, but a little bit different twist.
And then Scott, you're going to tie one too?
Yeah, and do like an old classic of mine, glasshouse caddis, Brachiocentrus case caddis, but it's worked for a bunch of years. It's kind of chicken soup for fish. They just eat it. It's always there.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Well,
Dave, what are you tying?
Well, with Howard drinking pours like that, this is going to be a spent bottle before the end of the evening. So,
That was quick.
We didn't get it to look at.
I agree 100%.
So, but basically, what we've got coming up here, kind of in our Yellowstone area, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, is a big deal for us. The Mother's Day caddis deal.
And we can show you when Claire gets back over there. I got some Sanchez drawings and photos on my computer here. You can see what we're trying to imitate, kind of the life cycle and what's going on. That Brachiocentrus clan of case caddis is pretty much endemic to the whole West. It's in every stream size. It doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, they call it Mother's Day, but most places, if you go fishing on Mother's Day, take your mom to brunch because the caddis are already over with. I mean, probably the best known one is on the Yellowstone in Livingston. I lived there for, 7 years. Yeah, I mean, and they're sometimes tricky to catch because it's a fine line of stuff warming up enough for the bugs to come out, but not warming up so much that the runoff starts. Yep. In fact, the best years, realistically, is they last for a day, the river blows out, whether it's the Snake, the Yellowstone, the Henry's Fork, and then it snows, and it clears off, and you got enough of visibility that when there's 8 million bugs floating in their mouth, they're feeding. Yeah. I mean, and it's really cool when you hit it.
Oh, yeah. Well,
really cool.
Over the Henry's Fork, it lasts pretty good, and typically, that doesn't get affected by runoff. I mean, it's huge here, but again, the Snake is typically blown.
I mean, last year was really good, and it was actually a great one because it wasn't heavy, but it's enough that you get in the right caddis water. The fish were definitely looking over that over something else.
Speaking of matching the hatch, Claire, I have a complaint.
What?
I wasn't sent the memo that I needed to wear a light blue fishing shirt tonight. So I apologize to everybody out there. There's no team
we
here.
can grab you one over.
Yeah, you need to go shopping real quick.
I think a pale pink could be better for you.
Well, we'll go ahead and get started. A couple announcements. This is, like we've been saying for the past few months now, it's our 50th year anniversary, so we have a lot of fun things planned throughout the whole year. Stay tuned, give us a follow so you get updated when all those things are happening. We've got double points going on right now, so every time you come shopping, you're earning points back to your account and save up and buy something nice maybe for your mother for Mother's Day. But I'll let the guys kick it off.
Well, and with that too, May 13th, our Trout Unlimited chapter here, we'll be having a banquet at Snow King. So that's a another
Yeah.
fun event.
That's
coming
linked in our profile, so if you're in town and want to join, give that a look at. Cool. All right, I'll let you guys
Right.
take it away.
up. Okay, Dave, you got to pick the glasses.
All right, so I'm told that these are your wife's glasses, so I want you to wear these tonight. There you go. Oh, wait, that's a little dirty. You ever clean these things? Jesus, man.
I'm just
That's the
looking.
UV filter.
I'm just looking right here. I mean,
Did they just
man.
break?
no.
No good deed. We're going to go with another pair.
There we go.
I'm just thinking a point. How about those?
I think I can tie those together.
Okay. All right.
That'll be Scott's bug tonight.
Yeah, those are kind of schmeg too.
What cocktail did you put together tonight?
The Gold Rush. It's basically honey, fresh lemon, and whiskey. It's a very refreshing cocktail. It's more of a summer cocktail. I was hoping it'd be warmer this evening, but you can actually warm it up because it's got honey in it. But we've decided not to do that. Scott shamed me out of doing that.
Nah, don't need to hit that stuff up.
Exactly.
It's warm on the inside. You want to explain the bug to him
let's
before we
do
start
that.
tying?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna. Yeah. Go ahead there.
If we kind of look at it here, this is kind of a quickie of the damn mouse here. Case caddis. And this little dude has like a wooden case on most of them, almost like wooden decking.
And they're relatively square.
It's really square.
Yeah.
But you'll find those on shallow rocks year round. They're that way for about 12 months of a pupa stage where they kind of transition in between adult and the larva. And that's what the adult looks like, a little tent wing. Basically, it's a 3-stage life cycle, and then they'll actually come back after they hatch and lay eggs. Some of them dive underneath, some of them actually tap on the water, but that's kind of the bug that's associated, and that's the Brachiocentris clan of caddis. American granum is another name for them you'll hear.
Typically size 16.
14,
Yep.
16.
Yep.
Adult bodies usually dark olive or
Yeah.
almost black.
Yeah. Can be
The
that
larva,
dark gray and then the dark
the
olive.
case is brownish because it's wood, but the larva is anywhere from lime green to what I call snot green.
Yeah.
Is the best way to describe the color.
Well, and they can be cream too.
Yeah. But that's that critter there.
Okay, so like I said, the guys had YouTube stuff on, and one thing that I've always, my technical fishing, whatever, has been, a lot of people, they'll switch, they go to lighter tippet, lighter tippet, because the fish is seeing, so they're going from 4x to 5x to 6x, so the fish can't see, and that's totally ridiculous. I mean, you could take a hair, drop it on to water, there's going to be a light refraction. It doesn't matter. Most of the time when they're going to smaller tippet, if they know it or not, it's not having an effect on that fly as readily. You're getting much more dead-free drift. So one of the things I've done for years and years is I always want to sink my tippet section of my leader when I'm fishing like real technical water, get that to break the surface so that light refraction is gone. And what we used to do is off of liqueur, like Drambuie or Grand Marnier or whatever, that foil was lead. So I'd take lead and you put it kind of like a leader straightener, and then just run it through your tippet, whatever, and that little bit of lead on there would drop. Now there's leader sink, Snake River mud, which is comes up from the Grove on over here. Bentonite, yeah. Well, anyway, they had on Kelly Gallup, and I was talking, and I just caught this deal about him scuba diving and whatever, and looking up through there and seeing like a lightning bolt come from his fly, which was that light refraction from the tippet. So anyway, he started doing some dry flies on the jig hooks. And back when those jigs came out, they're pretty heavy wire hook. So for small dries and stuff like that, so not probably so great. Now there's a bunch of stuff out there that and this is just couple stuff, something from Umpqua, I think works quite well. Was it the 403 BLJ? That's light enough wire, and their XT series 500 in bigger sizes is a light enough wire.
So the point
But,
being is that jig hook bend puts the tippet just under the surface.
Under the surface. And like I said, I started doing this last year with this particular pattern. I did a green drake here.
Spain Short wants to know when you're tying a Yukon caddis.
I was thinking about doing it tonight. But this, and then I did a gray drake type with that, and all of them quite successful. This particular pattern has been really good. Now, is it in my head? Could be. But as Scott and I were talking the other day, when you have a fly and it just consistently, those fish just definitely just take it. Whatever, you got something going. And this particular fly has been that way for me. So I'm just taking a straight eye hook here, and I'm going to bend it. This is a straight eye dry fly hook.
You got a lot of light going on over here.
What kind of light?
You're gonna have to pull it up a little bit.
He's kind of blind. He can't see.
Is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
I think if he's wearing the yellow
Oh, you want to
glasses-
tilt it away from the camera?
No, that's better.
Okay.
I think if there's yellow glasses on, there'd be less light refraction. I think it'd fill in the color spectrum better.
Like these?
I mean, another trick too for sinking tips of leaders when you're out there and you have nothing else is good old human saliva.
Yeah.
And then a lot of the actual leader sink is actually soap, because soap has surfactants in it, which help absorb water.
Can you close it?
So the one thing I do, if you are going to be doing this way, I would suggest, if you're like, this is going to be a 16, so I'm using a 14 hook and then bending that front part down.
And another hook that's along those lines is a semi-jig hook. There's new Perdigon hooks,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
has got a standard eye, but it's definitely a longer drop eye. But those are pretty big gap and they're pretty small in size.
Now, when you bend that eye, does that sacrifice the integrity of the wire at all?
I haven't had any issues with it, so I mean, possible, but I haven't had any issues.
Well, when you're only catching dinks, I guess.
Yeah,
Ooh,
exactly.
shots fired.
Exactly. That's, I mean,
Full of the one-liners tonight, Dave.
Yeah.
You told me to be funny tonight, so I'm trying.
While he's getting started, tell us a little bit about water levels with all the rain. What's happening there?
So water levels for the snake river tributaries are actually
snow.
fairly consistently slightly up. The big good news is in a week we went for 70% snowpack. I like to look at snow water equivalent rather than total inches of snow. We were 70% like last Monday. We're 85% now for both the Snake River and the Upper Green River drainage. Man, it's been decent skiing the last week too. You just gotta earn your turn. So that's, and we're in a wet cycle too, which should be a godsend for fish and wildlife down the road. So, and the fish are wet and cold, so they don't really care anyway. They'll still eat.
I was standing in the salmon a couple days ago in a blizzard, to your point, and man, that's challenging trying to spot steelhead in a blizzard. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's cold too.
Especially that stuff where it's close to freezing and it just goes right through you.
Yep.
Like, doesn't matter what gloves you have on, none of them work.
I was actually really well prepared this time, and it was all snow. There was no rain. It was big flakes, and we were on this hillside looking down, kind of in the lee of the hillside, so it wasn't blowing right like across us or at us. We were kind of sheltered, but the moment you went down to target a fish, it was just howling. I had the Elmer Fudd hat on, even clipped underneath the chin.
What flavor of cheese were you using it for?
But cheese? One of his cheese flies.
All right, Howard, what'd you just do?
Well, one thing about caddis, great, is if you really look at their bodies, they're relative, on almost all your flies, when you dub them or you build that body, it's tapered, relatively small at the back end here, and then tapers bigger going towards the eye of the hook. Actually, caddis are either relatively pretty even all the way, or else they have a reverse taper. They're going to be bigger in the back and then taper down in the front. So that's what I'm doing on this guy here, I think, maybe.
And breaking stuff.
And busting
Yeah.
stuff up. Well, you're
A
doing
good
this.
way to think of caddis too, for easy explanation for people, is they're aquatic butterflies, moths.
Yeah.
I mean, you go through bait the same life cycles and stuff's going on. You basically have that cocoon,
Mm-hmm.
the pupate in.
Yeah, they have the larva, pupa.
If you had to pick one type of dry fly for the Snake River drainage, would it be a caddis? Would it be a mayfly? Stonefly?
Stumped him.
Moth?
Who are you talking to?
Both of them.
I mean,
I got the guy in the blue shirt.
probably a downwing like an Alker caddis or simulator.
Yeah,
Or
I'd be doing
Some
some.
baby foam ant.
I'd be doing just some type of attractor. Plain old Royal Wolf.
I loved the Royal Wolf for quite a while.
Good old Royal Trude, or just
Yeah.
a plain Trude, which is kind of a regular Trude's kind of basically in the parachute Adams of the caddis world. And one interesting thing about the Mother's Day caddis hats on the Yellowstone, where the caddis are so thick, one of the best flies was a regular Coachman Trude with the pheasant tippet tail.
Yep.
And my guess is it's the right color, but there was something different from the 8,000 other
Right.
naturals around. There's that little bit of orange that caught their eye.
Mm-hmm.
I think it definitely worked. The good thing too with caddis is caddis in pretty much most of their life stage, except for the actual larvae, are actually fairly active, and they move a lot more than a lot of other insects. And so
Well, and
times when
they can come back multiple times to
eggs.
lay eggs, and caddis. I probably, for my technical fishing, I probably fish more caddis than I do anything else. Whatever, of some type. So I'm going to put a wing on here out of snowshoe rabbit, and I don't know, Claire, if you can kind of zoom in on this. Snowshoe rabbit actually has 3 different parts to it, and they're all, every foot will be a little bit different, but you'll see relatively soft, fuzzy back here, something kind of in between right there, and then something a little bit more like calf tail up here. And so you can see this section here on this one, a little bit different. So then if I grab this guy, that middle section is much bigger and there's a lot more of it. So it kind of depends on what you're trying to do to take the material that suits you the best. Like if I'm really trying to replace calf tail, I'm going to use up in here. Most of the time, as you can probably see, most of the stuff I'm using is down right there in the middle, kind of that middle stuff. But just depends. This stuff makes really, really nice, like emerger wings and stuff too. So, and these come in all different colors, and as we both know, they might be called snowshoe rabbit, but they might not necessarily be
Well,
that.
most of those I can tell you from
Yeah.
being at Bailey's, knowing Marcos, that hairline. A lot of that stuff came from South American hares where, rabbit in the U.S. is not really a food item. It's pretty limited specialty, but in some of those countries, Colombia, Chile, Argentina, they raised a lot of, they're basically half wild hares in cages, and you have chicken wire cages, and basically the feet get hair calluses is the best way to explain it, where they get padded and they get more hair on them. And that's where they get the bulk of them. Because, if you've if you've seen a snowshoe rabbit in your life, you're doing better than most people. I mean, they're not very high density at all.
I was going to say these must have been shot in the summer. They're not white.
Well, no, they're wild hares from South America is what most of them are. And actually, if you went and whacked a white-tailed jackrabbit right now, they're pretty close relatives.
Yeah.
Like those ones you see down in, Pinedale, on the green and up
They're
on the
massive.
mesa.
Yeah.
So
they're
big.
huge.
Yeah.
Until you shoot them and they're that big around.
Right. Rabbit are tough to hunt. I mean, not tough to hunt, but to eat. There's not a lot to them. Like the little back straps are great. You get 40 of those and they're great, but the rest of it, you got to stew it.
Or it looks like a baby, so it's just kind of.
Oh, it's just gross. They carry disease. I mean, I don't have anything to do with them.
Bug and tick and.
Yeah.
So rabbit's not on the menu for Mother's Day.
No.
Bugs Bunny, hi, some pepper.
Right.
That old classic Bugs Bunny, hi, some pepper.
That's still on TV?
We're doing okay over there. We're staying a long time to get to step number 1.
It's Mr. Perfectionist.
He's
Come
having a
on.
bad hair day.
No, I just want to get all this underfur out of there, so I'm not tying in more bulk than what I really need. So as you can keep seeing, junk just keeps coming out. So I want to get as much of that out of there as I can.
And one thing on snowshoe rabbit foot is if you're a neat freak, give up. It'll never even out completely, and that's part of some of the attraction. It has that kind of
Exactly.
natural rough end, so I'm not sure why Howard uses it because he's kind of neat.
He's trying to be very neat right now.
But it definitely catches fish, and the stuff floats really, really well.
Yeah, well, that's, when CDC first came out or got really, really popular in the U.S., about 30 years ago, whatever, I jumped on that stuff right away. But I had to mess around with it so much, the way things were being tied then with it, to keep it fishing. Not necessarily, I don't mind if I catch a fish and I got to change flies or something like that, but just to keep it fishing. So somehow I got onto rabbit, and this stuff will stay. You don't have to, this stuff is buoyant, like CDC, and extremely durable.
Probably the original classic fly with the snowshoe rabbits, the old Fran Better's usual.
Yep.
Like kind of a snowshoe rabbit trolling shuck and a snowshoe rabbit compared.
Yeah, in my things, I got a fly that I call the unusual usual.
What's happening in Wyoming Whiskey World, Dave?
Well, I had a call today with Sam Barkley at Yellowstone Forever, and we're planning the summer events for the 150th anniversary. They've got a really big higher society type of event on the closing couple days of, it's like October 3rd and 4th. So the Lake Lodge will be open just for this event right then. So we're going to have a very small presence. I mean, obviously this is all about Yellowstone, and it's not about Wyoming Whiskey, but we're, as I mentioned before, we're donating $150,000 to Yellowstone Forever, for the anniversary, and because it's the right thing to do. But beyond that, it's also it's kind of fun to be a part of it, and it gives us an opportunity to kind of showcase Wyoming Whiskey on a bigger stage than we would normally get. So there's that. They've got a big board meeting in June I'm going to be attending, which will be fun, and give an opportunity to give out our bottles of our National Parks #2 to all the board members.
Bottle, right?
Yep, which is being bottled right now this week, and then we're going to start shipping that
Where
out.
is bottling? Is it in Wyoming?
In Kirby, yeah, everything's done in Kirby. So that'll be released here. We're gonna send 60 cases of it up to Yellowstone, which will be sold through Delaware North, and then 120 cases are going to go to the Wyoming Liquor Division. And I'm going to hit the road here in the next week, go to a bunch of towns and make sure everybody's aware that it's coming, and make sure everybody
When
who
does
wants
ours
it.
get delivered?
As soon as Howard's done with this one.
All right, Howard, drink up.
Okay, so I don't know, Claire, if you can zoom in on
Your
that,
light
but
is like, it looks like a lightsaber on your eyes. No, I can see you.
if you can zoom,
Can you see it?
not like that, I can't. No, I just wanted to show. So I split So I did, a figure 8 around that wing and split it so it's spent. This is meant to when the scumback's laid its eggs, and it's kind of just like a mess on the water right there.
It's achieving rigor mortis.
Yep, you got it.
What are you working with there?
So this is CDC,
Okay.
and I'm going to use two feathers here.
Claire, do you know what the Wyoming only bourbon release will be this year from Wyoming Whiskey? You know what the name is? Powder River. Yes. My partner Brad, my ultimate boss, wrote the text for the back copy of that. Has very long history actually. Powder River, let her buck. If you've ever heard that saying around Wyoming,
Yeah.
Sure.
yeah, a lot of use ever since the Spanish-American War, all the way through all the world wars and everything overseas.
Yeah. Does it have a big use like in the army, like in the military?
Yeah, all of the Wyoming battalions, groups that have been, deployed, well, that's their saying always is Powder River, let her buck. And apparently it gets its start, like the whole saying got its, interrupt me at any point here with some important fly updates.
We're doing good.
Some guy crossed the Powder River a long time ago and celebrated. It's a mile wide and an inch deep is basically what the Powder River is known for. And he walked into the bar and shot up the place in the ceiling, and Powder River, let her buck became a saying, and then that just kind of spread from there. But I'm going to explore the upper Powder this summer. A couple
It's
of the
supposed to be pretty cool.
I've heard, yeah. It's not too far from our distillery, just on the other side of the Bighorns there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to check it out.
Catch some trout.
And I'm
whack
going to
some
take this
rattlesnakes.
Drake that I'm going to steal from you tonight, and I'm going to probably use it on one of the
More than welcome.
stretches.
So anyway, so now I'm going to just use Peacock curl coming off stem. And if you look, like I said, I think I've said this before, on the one side, the flume, and the other side, there's not as much. So just depending on how you want it to do. And it can bend this way or it can bend that way if you want to get real fancy with it. But I'm just going to use 2 deals, and I'm going to put the flume to the top here. So when I wrap it,
Corinne says hi.
oh,
Hey, Corinne.
nice.
Come visit us. We miss you.
I'm having all kinds of issues here.
She used to work in the art gallery.
Mhm.
Yeah, she's run the art gallery, and
I remember her.
I met her at Robbie's wedding.
she was there for Robbie's wedding.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did your peacock break?
It did. I'm having all kinds of issues here.
And peacock is pretty easy to break.
I'm going to just leave that.
You're going on 30 minutes on one fly. One step here, Howard.
We're just about done here, kiddo. I think.
The integrity of your peacock is in question.
So we just did 3 wraps there. And now we're just gonna pull this CDC over, make a little wing case of it, and a little bit of flotation here, but probably more than anything, some visual. That, believe it or not, that little bit of white there kind of pops out when you're fishing it.
You got to trim your nails.
I got a little. I didn't do any sanding there tonight.
Gary Barnes says that he's seen you. I've seen Howard tie longer than that, but he does tie amazing flies. And Corinne says she misses us too.
Should have been a surgeon.
does that part time.
Only on dogs.
Dogs.
You don't get in as much trouble that way.
Yeah. Well, not so far, anyway. Maybe after now.
Yeah, we get really a lot of viewers here. All right, what's going on?
I'm going to do whip finish. So I'm just flattening the thread. So I get a nice little head. So if you look at it, every time I go around, we've talked about that thread becomes a cord. And I'm just making it flat so I get a little smaller whip finish head. And then I'm going to come down this hook. So guys got me going too fast.
Lightning fast. So explain this, what you're doing here. What's the importance of flattening it for the whip finish?
Makes it smooth.
Because if I have a cord, like so,
Yep.
and I'm going around, I'm building bulk. If I have a flat thread as I'm going around, I'm making a nice small little head. So I'm just about down to the bottom there. And I doubt seriously if this makes any difference, but I just thought possible that the glare of that bare hook, the little sheen on it. So I just bring the thread on down, down that shank of the front shank here. I got one right here.
Okay.
So it knocks that. I mean, the whole idea is to get the leader below, so there's not light refraction or whatever. So I'm just taking a little thread and going down that eye, down to the eye of the hook to so I twisted that. So it takes the sheen off the bare hook. Whatever, so.
Joe Mama spent caddis.
Yeah.
Joe Mama. Got that?
Got it.
I got it now.
There you go. So yeah. So
It's the only reason I come.
okay. So I think we showed this earlier, but now this is on one of those XT 500 Umpqua hooks here, and that's been a really successful pattern for me too in a green drake, and then I do a gray drake, somewhat similar to that, whatever. But so those are both yours.
Wow,
take 'em.
big night.
I've got a little cup of all the flies that I've collected from these.
Score. They make a shadow box.
Yeah.
All right, Ches.
Might have to win a tournament on this caddis.
We want to show you what we're trying to imitate and why we have the different features on my fly. If we want to, we can take a couple minutes again to show you some basic patterns to fish during these caddis hatches. I've pulled out some flies. For the Microsoft's taken over, of course.
Or using a different vise?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ches.
it doesn't matter. So,
Well, apparently it does.
Well, you can use that if you want to, but
if we want to look at a real brachiocentrus caddis, that's from Lower Flat Creek here in Jackson. And you can really see that wooden case. He's got a little slime on him here. You see that little black head on him? I mean, you can definitely see the little snot green.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's, and I'm not into like what does a 4-year-old tell you something looks like. It's pretty exact. It's got a black head, a green thing, and then it's brown. And I think that's, when we're imitating stuff, that's the thing to do, is go for the obvious, rather than being like our human parts and like trying to make it complicated. So the fly we're gonna We'll bump across here. Oh, man. Bad mouse. The life cycle. Then the in between, that's basically your pupa as it merges. That's a soft tackle. Some of the LaFontaine Sparkle caddis. The X caddis will work on that. But this is the fly we're going to do, like a modern version of that. And basically, we're just kind of mimicking that basic color pattern that's pretty obvious. It's pretty simple. Let me throw my vise together here.
Well, in the meantime, we've been asked for a whiskey recipe for when you're fishing in a blizzard.
I think you go the route that Howard goes and put that in a flask. That's going to be the easiest carrying, warmest option for you.
I think codeine
So if,
mixed with it.
Codeine?
Yeah.
God.
We don't make that at Wyoming Whiskey, and we never would recommend using codeine with whiskey, but I can see where you're going.
If said person who asked that question happened to be my father and lives in Georgia, how would he get a hold of Wyoming Whiskey?
Georgia is actually a very big state for us. Yep, it's a focus market. There's a number of reasons why that is the case, but one of them is our distributor down there has been a really strong supporter of our product,
Yeah.
which
I mean, I can see
is
plenty
tough
of
to get distributors' attention when you're a small brand. But now, especially with our partnership with Edrington has decided that that market is particularly strong for us. We've pumped a lot of resources into it, and you should be able to find Wyoming Whiskey in any retail store that you're looking for or bar. Savannah Distributing is our distributor down there.
It's probably better if we move
Yep.
it over, isn't it?
Look at it next time I'm home.
Yes.
I'll move this over since the microphone's not in the way for you. The reason we wear these light blue shirts, you can see the fly. Makes a big difference.
See, there's always a method.
So,
I think we need some updated ones. Yours is from 2011, and Howard's is from 2013.
that's because we're in the OMF category.
And what does that mean again?
That means we had much lighter hair back, or darker hair back then.
Yes.
than
But
we
look,
do
we
now.
got hair.
But we do have hair. That's
Particularly a lot on our face right now.
Well, I
Not-
shaved completely. I had to go to the
yeah.
dermatologist. I wanted to make sure after 3 years that they could find anything. So I'm going to use a jig hook, and a lot of my nymphs now I tie on jigs. There's no reason not to. They ride upside down. I think it's a cleaner hookup. And there's lots of good jig hooks now. Originally, like Howard was saying, there really wasn't much out there. I can use a fairly standard jig hook or bigger gap one. These folding mill hooks are great hooks.
and to get that claw point.
Yeah, they kind of turn in kind of that competition type point. And the Umpqua, that one that Howard was talking about, will work for wet or dries. And then, I got a bunch of different stuff like the Camuto, which is the same as the brand, based the same factory, these old Dairiki hooks, or the Umpqua U hooks are the same factory. They have some good options there. So we're going to get a hook, and then we're going to use a tungsten bead. A slotted bead is probably the easiest to get around a jig. And this is what they call a 60-degree band rather than a straight down band. These are going to be easier to get beads on. And a lot of these hooks were originally adapted from the conventional tackle market. No ifs, ands, or buts. That the Tiemco hook, which I can't remember if these are Japanese or if they're Czech. These are Japanese. And this is a fairly big one. It's a size 12. I'd say it's size 12 through 16. And this was one of the few bugs I can think of that is actually available to trout 12 months of the year. Most other nymphs, larvae, you will not find them in shallow water till they hatch. So I call this the chicken soup for trout. They're used to seeing it. And there's that three-tone pattern, basically black, bright greenish, and then darkish. So I'll use a...
Those are exact.
Darkish.
Yeah, an exact.
Well, and then...
Okay.
How strong were those cocktails?
Well, speaking of.
So we got the first bead on.
Now, is there any trick with the bead at all,
So this
or-
is a slotted bead, so you're going to put the hook point in the small end. That works with all of them. A lot of the non-slotted beads will still fit on these 60-degree hooks. So that's on there first. I got that
Especially
on.
with that wide gap.
Yeah. And one important thing with beads on any hook or any materials on flies, but especially with beads, is don't block the gap. If you can tie a fly, be able to hook fish with it. You know, you can actually block that there.
Well, that was my, that was one of my concerns with bending that hook down or with the jig in the first place. As we're saying here, this fly is going to ride basically upside down with the jig portion up. Now the dry that I'm doing is the way that they're designed. The jig part is going to be, it's going to ride just the opposite.
Yep.
And we can use different beads. I mean, most of the beads I've used in the past they're basically what they call seed beads.
Yeah, they're
Their
little glass,
crafts are,
little
and
glass beads.
they're various qualities. This is probably the closest to the color. You can't always find the right sizes. So I also got a pack of the snot green. Ooh, we had a pack of snot green. Tip that out for the picture. That works pretty well.
Something about sitting in that position right there.
Yeah. And then another possibility, if you wanted like to have this thing plummet, is these colored tungsten beads. I think we'll use the traditional one.
And this guy here that you got out of the little square, I mean, when I started first working with the glass beads, I mean, we got them from from a sewing shop.
Yeah, and even now there's not that many places. What the places that had them? There's that Daryl's Fly Tying or whatever.
That's a cool bead, actually. It's just the very inside is what's colored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all these
So they glow.
beads here, like these are silver lined. So they look bright, but it's only bright in the center. But it gives a little flash to the fly. Like I said, if I wanted a lot of weight, I'd use the metal bead. There's a lot of flies tie like this with just dubbing on them. This is a really simple fly. This is definitely Sanchez better living through chemicals, a little Sniffy the glue. Drinky the whiskey, Sniffy the glue.
All the chemicals.
We might have to,
I'm gonna do some editing on
yeah,
this episode.
we might have to say this is for adults only or something.
Facebook is gonna flag me.
There's an age group.
Doesn't bother me. So the front bead, that's your darkish.
That's your head
thing?
of the bug.
Okay, so
And
you're
that
not.
green's
like
the
the-
neck sticking
Yeah.
out.
Like the head.
Yeah.
When we were looking at the.
So you're
case-
using the bead
the
to
case
imitate
tabs.
that head.
So he's using his house there for protection, for hiding, but he's going to have to get food, right?
Yep.
He'll have to like forage and do different things. And there's times where they actually have to move, water conditions. Water comes up or down, so they actually have to crawl with their case. So
Got
we're
it.
going to build a thread base here.
And then also when they get bigger, whatever, they have
Yeah.
to come out of that case, whatever, and that's.
Got it.
and-
But you're not
yes.
using any material for the front part. You're just using the bead to imitate the head.
Yeah, and you
Got it.
could use green dubbing. That's pretty commonly done on imitation of this. I've done this traditionally over the years with copper wire for a rib because it's very segmented case, and then like some peacock colored antron dubbing. Using the old Ken Ligas scintilla stuff. I make my own stuff,
Yeah.
but like ice
This is
double
driving me
work.
nuts.
I still have.
Oh, I got poundage of that.
You got so many of these things.
I mean, ice double work on it too. I'll grab a hackle here.
He's not even listening. I'm just trying to get I don't want to see another one fall and hit the
Oh,
floor.
no.
There's probably 50 of them down there already.
Oh yeah.
Looks like my fly time room. There's hooks there too. I put like a 2-aught TMC 879.99 to the ball of my foot once. I mean, they numb out after a while. Ain't no big thing. So this is some small copper wire, small brassy. That's brassy. I lied to you. I'm going to tie that in at the back. And I've also done these where I've just used wire, or I've almost done like a thread or like a buyout body, and there's wire over it, and then UV'd it to make it really heavy for deep nymphing.
So it's really dense.
Yeah,
And just.
it's dense and slippery. It's
Yeah.
hydrodynamic rather than hydrostatic. And like I said, darkish. I mean, that case is brownish, green, olive, somewhere in that case. You know, you could use brown there. And this is typical dubbing. It's a little bit coarser. I mean, the one thing with caddis, you can get away with ragged flies. It's considered cool. But one thing to do with dubbing, it should look like my hair. It shouldn't be straight. Because what we're trying to do with dubbing is trying to twist a rope on the hook or on the thread. And it should be disassembled, disarrayed. So I actually kind of aerate the dubbing to make it go on a lot easier. And then a technical fly tying term, pinch the hell out of it. Or whatever expletive you want to use.
Make a note of that.
No, it's like, and twist it one direction. Be assertive. I don't use wax. I hate cleaning wax off my fingers. But there's times in the winter when they couldn't fingerprint you, when your skin's that dry and you're super glued together. You know?
Tim Grimes is watching and he's very confused that Scott Sanchez is using glue? Question mark, question mark?
I use it with his children, with Brant. So we got a fairly, I mean, really not tapered body because that case is not that tapered.
A little bit, but not much.
And then you can just break this excess stuff off. Or God gave you a scissor, at least you got a job hopefully and you can buy some.
Is he always like this?
This is the good day.
Medication must be working.
Yeah. And always hold your thread away from cutting your thread. But when you have like little stuff sticking on dubbing, just trim it off. Don't try to unwind it. There's one little booger there, but it ain't gonna hurt nothing. I've been wrapping everything, I guess, clockwise. A lot of times on ribs, I'll do it counterclockwise. The wire has enough memory. But the other thing it does too, if I had a fragile material, it protects it more because I'm cross ribbing it. But the biggest thing it does on a fly like this is it doesn't sink into the dubbing. Because I wrap the dubbing this way, the wire's going this way. It's not
So
going
what
to
do you say?
I see.
As you wrap away from yourself dubbing, if you did the wire in the same direction, it's going to cut in.
Runs parallel with it.
Yeah.
This
Yep.
way, when he's counter wrapping.
I'm going to wrap this around a few times and then these are $80 scissors. I'm not going to do that. Toenail clippers work as well as anything for cutting wire or fly tying. They're cheap. The other thing they do too is they cut a lot closer than a side cutter. And then it's like cover that up, do an insta whip finish.
Is that it?
No, I gotta have some legs on the little bastard.
All right. Where do the legs come out of? They're cased.
Some of those legs sticking out.
So that.
Oh,
And
from
plus,
the.
there's something too. I think
When
with
they come out,
motion,
when they got to come out.
motion,
Gotcha.
or just movement too.
They-
And this will work as a deep emerger, as a soft hackle, swinging it below a soft hackle to anchor your soft hackle so it looks like something coming up, which is what the caddis are doing. So you got to take your thumbnail and smash between the two beads. Make just enough space to get your thread. So I start my thread there, wrap. And this is a great trick for tying off any material. But to lock that in there, because we don't have a lot of room to make a jam knot, twist that around my actual main body. And that's the best way to tie off like mono or crystal flash or some this slippery thing.
Yep.
And then we're going to grab some buzzard domesticus. Mrs. Buzzard domesticus. And here again, darkish, brown, dark dun, mottled.
Some type of a soft.
It's going to have it motion. And you can make it a little bit long. You can make it 1.5, 2 gaps. I'll break one of those off. I didn't bring hackle pliers, but it'll be okay.
There's some right in there.
And we're going to prep the chicken because we're going to tie it in by the tip. So I'm grabbing the tip and pulling back to make the fibers stand out. Now I want the curved part going back. It's not hypercritical. It'll work fine without it. So I tie that in. And the tips of the chicken feathers are a little bit fragile sometimes, especially on some of the dyed ones. The best ones, and I got stashes on them, I didn't have one the right color today, was those whiting Brahma hens, which are genetically raised. They got a lot stronger, thinner stems. And I can kind of fold this, which is trying to make the fibers radiate back only one direction is really not going to matter that much on this fly. And it's like 1.5, 2 wraps.
You want a hackle pliers, there's one.
Oh, I don't need hackle pliers.
As long
And then
as-
one thing you can do, people freak out. It's like, if I'm wrapping it like that, just smash down with my finger. Smash it down with my finger here so it doesn't unravel. I mean, this stuff's supposed to be unruly looking. And this is not a great chicken, so it's probably like 2.5 wraps. Gonna come over, wrap, kind of pull back, cover all the little mutated ends. Come in here, use my scissors as a knife. I can do my second whim finish, and then I can put more Sniffy the glue on there to fuse it in place. And it's got that color pattern of that natural. I mean, it's just a buggy little fly. I mean, it's kind of money. And it says you find these on the rocks. Anytime you can flip over the rocks anywhere on the stream right now, and you will find that insect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that chicken soup. That's actually not a bad size. A lot of these jig hooks are a little bit shorter shank.
Right.
So that's a 12, that and a 14, and you know, fishing rivers with bigger fish, man, like throw down a 2X and ain't no big deal on the big horn of the green.
Right.
So that is a, ooh, the light went out. So that would be your glass house caddis, and then you want a 2-minute fly, soft tackle, Sanchez soft tackle.
Yes.
For doing how you fish the kind of a merger stage. This would work down below, swinging down and across. And swinging flies is a little more complicated than it sounds. There seems to be this perfect deal where your fly needs to swing slightly faster than the current at the kick, at the end. And you come by, we can explain it to you how it's kind of the 2-hand master. You can do it with a single hand or 2-hand rod. You get a standard butterfly or nymph hook in your stuff right here. That'll rob one off the wall. Ain't proud.
Let's.
That is
No,
a
I don't. No.
beautiful
I'll put it
hook.
home.
You can do this on a wet fly or dry fly hook, depending on where you want to fish it. A wet fly nymph hook would have heavier wire. This is one of those Chimco, or not Chimco, but Umpqua
You series.
U series, which is the Korean hooks. And I grabbed some really bad chicken. This is light wire, big gap. I'll grab some chicken you can't use for a soft tackle this size. You could put Sniffy the glue on there if we wanted.
He just likes saying that. I need another drink.
Well, I was wondering.
Yeah.
What was going on?
You're kind of getting lucid.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're tying next.
So you can wrap soft tackles. A lot of times the feathers they want to use are too big. So this is one alternative. Basically, bigger is better. So I'm going to strip the feathers off the stem. So I'm going to adjust them and pull them out. And each feather in every section of feather is going to have a section where it's relatively even on the tips. And then you grab that. I'm going to pull off a chunk of it. That's about right there. I got a couple loose fibers I want to get rid of. I'm going to tie that over the eye of the hook about a shank length long. I'm going to make a loose wrap. And then take my thumbnail. And most of fly tying is about being krill to inanimate dead objects. And wrap it almost to the eye of the hook. And we come back. Most of your traditional soft tackles will have an abdomen and a thorax on them. So we can kind of use what we had there before. Let's use that copper wire for a rib. And if you do this right, you can tie size 20 soft tackles. Grab a little of that peacock dubbing. Throw up some yarn in the blender.
You're over 2 minutes, by the way.
Because I'm talking. Do a little wire for a rib.
Do you ever take a kit stream side?
I've done it, but why the hell? I mean, like the fish are gonna be quit rising by the time you're done. I got a lot of flies, and there's
when I was maybe till I got like 30 years old.
Got it.
No.
No point.
never built a thorax. And the harsh reality is there's most of the times you can catch fish on more than one thing.
Yeah.
And there's more a lot of a presentation and like finding a fish that wants to eat. I mean, there's sometimes it's no more than that. They eat or they don't. We build up a ball of dubbing for a thorax, a little bit far forward, and they just kind of push this stuff back. Struck it back a few times. Don't impale your finger too bad. It should make that dubbing ball a little bit smaller, but a little force.
Other than stepping on that hook that you were talking about, what's the worst hook set you've ever put in your own finger?
Oh, like right there, size 8 mystery meat, golden stone on the green. It's like right in the web. My buddy was too squeamish to pull it out. It's like I just waited till I got numb and then yanked it myself. Set it behind a piece of driftwood, so I had enough leverage, and then do base that mono loop. The mono loop
Right.
trick works.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I've had in my ears. I've worn a size 16 blue wing olive on the south for like 2 hours because the fishing was too good and they're eating blue wing olives. I mean, look, after a couple minutes, it's numb, so who cares?
How about you, Howard?
Size 2 riffle dancer on the Maurice River, tying it on.
Tying it on.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds difficult.
I was tying it, and I do a turtle knot, and then with a riffle hitch, and take the tag end, pull on the tag end like that, and I go, feel a little pinch there, okay, and like, buried from here that I could see it on this side with the barb still on.
Of course it was. Yeah.
Yeah. And I yanked on, and not only that, I had just fished for like an hour and a half, got down to where I wanted to be, and oh, this is gonna be good. and I yanked on it. I did because I really wanted to fish that water, whatever. Richard Choate, first year we were in BC together. First year, yeah, we were together in BC, 1990. And so I finally, like, so I walked back to the truck camper or whatever, and Richard's going, oh, I was just coming down to fish that run with you, da da da. I said, yeah. I said, well, I found a new hook keeper. He's going, what are you talking about? He's rushing around, he's getting stuff. I said, yeah, I found a new. What do you mean you found a new? I said, like, and Richard's a little squeamish. He's going like, he's going like, well, you got to yank it out of there because it was in where I couldn't do the deal because it was over because of the size 2. It was over the end. There was nothing to push on to. He said, well, you got to yank it out of there. He said, well, I can do that, but I'll puke. And he said, why don't we go? And I had just flown in the night before, and we drove for like an hour, and it's dark, and I don't know, we're in the middle of nowhere, whatever, and he says, well, why don't we just go over to the hospital and get it cut out? I go like, where's the hospital? He said, oh, like a couple miles over there. I thought we were in the middle of nowhere. And that's another story I'll tell it sometime, getting that done with Canadian gals. Oh, my God.
Oh, and that's like a 34007 Barracuda fly.
Yeah.
That cut with a one-hander and the left-hander with the Leathermans. The best one I took out of somebody else, though, was a Bambi Waters with a dad and a little kid, and like those little size 3 Rapalas. They got those little mini, like size 14 trebles. It's the kid's first fish, and it's outside, and dad grabs it. And he got, like, I think, 4 of the 6 points. And I had to do the mono loop thing. I had to do one hook at a time.
Oh, God.
It's like, bam.
The worst one I ever saw was we were doing, I'm doing a school, and we're over on the Yellowstone in the park. And there's probably, 6 students there, 3 guides, 6 students. And we tell guys, just you guys go over there. We take care of stuff. Da, da, da. But no, one of the guys, typical, won't pay attention, and he grabbed like 6 rods and went and and the rods were all rigged, and got every one of the hooks in his hand.
Oh God!
And then the last one was in the hook keeper and his.
So he couldn't get the rod off.
Yeah, no, it's in the hook keeper. I mean, here's the hook keeper.
Yeah.
And it's in buried with a barb. Different, size 12, so it wasn't the same thing. We couldn't do a pull down mono loop thing or whatever. But
Okay, those are awesome.
What's yours?
I have 2. One was very embarrassing because I had taken Judge Kavinka. I was a new attorney in town, and I had asked him. I already fished, so we went and we were doing Moose to Wilson, and I rode for a while, as I should have, as the young attorney for the judge. And then he goes, "Well, David, why don't you give it a shot?" So take my rod out, and you know how sometimes when you wrap it down and around, and the rod tip's bent, so there's tension on it.
Yeah.
I unhooked the fly, and it just sunk directly into the tip of my finger, well past the barb, and I was just so embarrassed. And I'm standing in the front of the boat, we're floating, and he's like, "David, why aren't you fishing?" And I just turn around, he goes, "Oh." And I was like, I can't wince in front of the judge because he's going to remember this moment for as many years as I'm going to practice. So he popped it. And I remember him saying, "You were very stoic during that entire process." And inside I was screaming, damn, this hurts. But the one that really is memorable is I was down in the canyon and my buddy was throwing a big old tube bunny and, double hauling, just ripping it across. And he's a righty. So he's fishing to the right bank and he double hauls and I'm on the sticks and all I heard was just, and I looked down and I just see this rabbit fur just laying on and I was like, wow. And I went to pull the skin, pull it off and it just kind of stretched the skin off. I'm like, "The barb's still on this?" He's like, "Oh yeah." And it was so deep. We cut it, we taped it to my arm and I rode the rest of the way. We fished for a couple hours and we stopped at the old Hoback Market and I got ice and a Foster's oil can. And I put the ice on it to numb it while we were driving to town, drank the oil can, and we got back and he got pliers and he just pulled it out. Yeah. And he missed it the first pull. I'm like, "You son of a, you do it the first time, you don't do it the second time. I'm going to punch you in the face."
I had to tell. So the nurse is about this big, and the doctor is a female, is about this big. And
Claire's choking, by the way, on her drink.
It's the very first time I've ever been to Canada. That I was in my youth. I'd been to, but the very first time in Canada, and it was there. Oh, geez, good golly, by God, you fishermen, I don't know. We come in, blah blah blah, and everything was I go like, "You guys can knock that off. I watched you guys on, Saturday Night Live." And the big gal's like, "Oh yeah, that happened to my uncle and stuff. He had a size. He was saltwater fishing, whatever." And I said, "Well, how'd they get it out?" He eventually just yanked it out. I said, like, "God, what did happen?" He said, "Well, he couldn't use the finger anymore, but it wasn't too much more than that." Whatever. And the little gal's like, "Well, you can't fish. You got to keep that." I'm up here for 2 weeks. What do you mean I can't? So, "Oh no, I'll tell the whole story is hilarious." Whatever.
Where did we leave off with the fly? Are we finished?
It's finished. That's it. I mean, that is a money fly. I mean, anywhere in the world. But that's just a simple way to use a big feather. Guinea fowl looks incredible on these little flies.
Yeah.
But
What's the name of that one?
That's just my version of a soft tackle.
Yeah. And I do the exact same thing, kind of. Not exactly how he's doing it, but where you take a big feather, because once you start getting down to 16, 18s and you're trying to use partridge and whatever and doing traditional wrapping, I mean, to find that correct feather for that size of hook But you can do another thing, which you already know.
Yeah, the pull back.
Yeah, you get one that's relatively squared off at the top, cut the middle of it out, tie it in, and then just pull it back to where you want.
Yeah,
I
we
wish it
just
would
do
make sense.
that and then
Yep.
basically pinch it and pull it.
Yep, tie it in, and then just pull it to the correct length.
How do you release that? How do you release your guys?
Right
Okay.
there.
Quite
But
the collection tonight, Dave.
Keep
But-
tying, man.
but that fly's been around for 2,000 plus years and it still fills fish.
Well, no, I mean that was original fly fishing. That's what they did.
Macedonia,
they-
the first recorded,
Yep,
like in
they swung flies.
Well, then we
BC,
should call
like-
this the Macedonian.
BC like 300 or something like
Yeah.
that. It's like way back.
Yeah, no, they swung flies, and that was fly fishing.
You think they had a vice like that?
Yeah, and that's
Relatively.
back when there's a reason for tenkara rods,
Right. I'm with you on the tenkara.
tofu rods.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Well,
Sorry,
no,
Yvonne.
No, I mean,
Horse leaders.
Where we going?
well, I mean, they call it tenkara. I mean, and we used to just call it high sticking.
Yeah.
Right. High stick
I
it.
love it. It's Japanese. Like, well, because I worked for every major Japanese manufacturer or fly fishing magazine, and like, I never seen tenkara rod in one of the magazines. I mean, but it's cane pole fish. I mean, it is what it is.
Trouble.
I mean, it's the ultimate like.
Do you guys have
Back
tenkara rods here?
We usually do. It's the ultimate like trail running mountain biking rod.
No, I
That's
had,
kind of what it is. What it is.
I had a guy tell me like, I'm going like, well, you can fish that way with a regular rod.
Exactly.
He said, oh no, it's different. It's different. It's way different. Like,
Well, it's kind of like telemarking, right? There's a bumper sticker that says "Nobody cares that you telly." It's the same thing with tenkara.
Well,
I'm
like,
sorry.
but,
For
I
all of
mean,
you tenkara fans out here, I apologize.
but,
You don't like me.
You know, I say like telly in the old days was different than telly now.
yeah,
It was a method that you could use for the backcountry.
Yeah,
And
sure.
it gave you a big long ski that gave you a balance. But now, like, I mean, the boots are stiff as
oh
a pair
yeah.
of AT boots.
No, I mean you do it. You and I do it all the time, and yeah, no, it's AT stuff, and I mean
It's lighter.
Right.
It's
I still got 3 pairs of telly skis
Yeah,
sitting
actually-
in my house
When was the last time you used them?
like 3 years ago just to do it.
Well, okay.
And then, like, most of the new
That's
skis,
cute.
Well, most of the new skis parallel better than they tally. I mean, that's how they ski, you know, just
Mhm.
laying over your edge.
yeah, it's me with 2-handed rods. Yeah, so I take a 15-foot or 16-foot out. Okay, like, and I go like, what am I doing?
This hurts.
Well, no, it's just the lines. I mean, the lines have made everything 2-handed rod still,
Mhm.
and I still we'll do a deal on that at some point.
Claire's up. That means we're done.
Yeah, we'll do a deal on that where
Facebook's
where
going to
they're
start
missing
charging us
it,
now.
Right.
We got to
They're-
get off.
where they're missing it with the 2-handed trout space stuff, and all they do is talk about swinging. No.
Claire, be careful. Don't slip on all the
We-
beads.
Don't be.
Pushed a button there. Yeah,
Gotta watch out.
gosh.
You got to watch out.
Good thing the
swinging.
cleaning crew comes on Tuesday, Scott. Good lord.
If they're small, nobody will see them.
Thank you everyone for hanging in there. I don't even know where we just went, but we circled back. We made it. So we will see you again. Maybe this summer we'll do a special if we have a breath of fresh air this summer and get a good episode in. But if not, we'll definitely be back next winter, next spring. So thanks again for watching all the shows.
You'll be doing stuff hunting
Oh, I guess
Yeah.
we'll get a hunting one in. Yeah.
in August.
If you guys have any suggestions, what you guys want to see, hit us up. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, give us a follow, give us a like, so you get those notifications when we go live. But thanks, guys, for hosting. Dave, as always,
My
our
pleasure.
favorite guest,
Saying, yeah.
the best cocktails.
Anytime.
Yep.
No.
Find yourself a bottle of Wyoming whiskey at your local liquor store.
Yep.
That could be a commercial right there.
Yeah.
We'll see you on the,
Well, I recommend it highly.
we'll see you in the next.
He's almost done with the bottle.
See you in
Well,
the
Go ahead.
see you in the next episode of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe.
Exactly.
Oh, what was the
I'm turning this off. You guys are.
what was
I'm going to
the
do
deal
this
about-
again, just like this format.
What was the